the fuck is going down, everybody? It's your boy Sauceman X. I'm checking back at you niggas with another goddamn video today. So anyways, man, as you already see this shit by the title and obviously by the screen, I'm going to be reacting to Michelle Obama's speech. Okay, because we already know that the DNC has been going on for the longest fucking time. You know what I'm saying? And of course, you know, it's been basically happening all week. And of course, I haven't seen any of it. I literally haven't seen any of the DNC other than, you know, certain elements of the speech. And you know what I'm saying? But apparently it's a terrible fucking, you know, all the, you know, this entire convention makes absolutely no sense. They're not even bringing up Joe Biden. They're just advancing their ridiculous political narrative. So in this video, I'm basically going to be exposing, you know, and also, you know, exposing Michelle Obama and simply just reacting to this entire speech, this pre-recorded speech that she's literally making. And it makes absolutely no fucking sense. I'm going to be exposing a lot of hypocrisy. And now she's literally claiming, that she wants, you know, to bring this country together and bring unity, while she's literally repeating more divisive fucking rhetoric and basically attacking half of this country for simply supporting the president of the United States while claiming that she wants a unity. So this makes absolutely no sense. So I'm going to be exposing that and more, you know what I'm saying? I'm just going to be reacting to this. Okay, I haven't seen this entire thing. Obviously, I can't react to this entire thing, but this is the most controversial speech, so I'm probably going to react to about 10 minutes of this. So let me just get started with this. Look at this.
4 years
Hold up.
later, the state of this nation.
Let me go back right quick.
Record break.
So what she's doing right here, okay, is that before I get into, you know, the entire, you know, anti-Trump rhetoric she decides to go on, I'm gonna, you know, she's actually trying to bring up the quote-unquote success of the Obama administration and trying to compare that to the Trump administration by using complete logical fallacies, okay, logical fallacies, and comparing apples to oranges and literally trying to compare the Ebola crisis, you know what I'm saying, you know, while completely ignoring the H1N1 crisis to try to say that, you know, compare Obama's quote-unquote leadership to Donald Trump's, and it makes no sense.
Stretch of job creation.
Look at this.
We secured the right to health.
Look, job creation. We already know that Trump has done that way better. Okay.
For 20 million people.
20 million
we
people.
were respected around the world, rallying our allies to confront climate change.
You were respected around the world. We know damn well that wasn't the fucking case. Okay, getting manipulated by China on trade deals, being the laughing stock of the world, easily getting manipulated, and then Trump actually wants to actually deal with international relations a lot better with China. I'm pretty sure we're more respected now. Okay.
And our leaders had worked hand in hand.
Look at this.
With scientists.
With
to
scientists.
help prevent an Ebola outbreak.
And this is where she brings up the Ebola outbreak. Okay.
A global pandemic.
So here's what she's trying to do. Okay, she's literally trying to compare the Ebola outbreak to the coronavirus pandemic. So this makes literally no sense. One, obviously because the Ebola outbreak had, you know, it was nowhere near as contagious as the coronavirus, and the entire government, okay, whichever country in Africa Ebola originated from, did not lie to the entire world about the fucking virus. We already know that China lied to the entire world about the virus and basically set the entire world up for failure because they refused to say that it was transmittable from person to person. So we were lied to by China, okay? And the coronavirus is a lot more contagious, so there's no way she can possibly compare this to Ebola. We're, you know, considering the fact there's nowhere near as contagious. It has nothing to do with leadership, okay? It wasn't as bad of a fucking virus, and she's gonna bring up Ebola while completely ignoring the swine flu. So this makes no sense.
4 years later,
look at this.
The state of this nation is very different. More than 150,000 people have died, and our economy is in shambles because of a virus that this president downplayed for too long.
We already know. Okay, as I just said, it was China. It was literally the country of China that lied to the entire world about the virus outbreak, and she's trying to blame Trump for literally every single thing, even though Trump took decisive action early. He took decisive action early to, you know what I'm saying, banning travel from China to continue to stop the increased spread of the coronavirus, which potentially saved millions of fucking lives, but she's not going to bring that up. But if Trump, okay, deserves all the blame for the coronavirus for quote-unquote not acting quick enough, let's look at the swine flu. Because back in 2009, during the swine flu pandemic, of course, it was nowhere near as contagious as a coronavirus or deadly as the coronavirus. We already know that the swine flu basically killed 20,000 Americans, and the Obama administration, the Obama and Biden administration, did nothing about it for 4 months. Literally, for 4 months straight, they did absolutely nothing about it, and 20,000 people died. So if Obama did absolutely nothing about the coronavirus for 4 fucking months, there would have been millions of people dead. So it just shows you the lack of leadership. And she's comparing apples to oranges, which makes no sense.
It has left millions of people jobless.
And this is more hypocrisy. Millions of people jobless.
Too many have lost their health care.
Too
many are struggling to take care of basic necessities like food and rent.
So this exposes.
Many communities have.
This just exposes more hypocrisy. Because it's literally Donald Trump. For the past 3 months, Donald Trump has been campaigning to reopen America. Okay, and of course he's trying to attribute all the blame to Donald Trump, which we already know this country has governors as well. And there's Democratic governors who are deliberately not trying to reopen this country. They're literally not reopening this country and trying to keep people out of work. But then she wants, it's mainly just Democratic leaders who are trying to keep people out of work. But you want to hold all of the fucking blame to Trump when he's literally trying to open the country again. So this makes no sense.
Left in the lurch to grapple with whether and how to open our schools safely.
What?
Internationally.
So she's blaming Trump, okay, for unemployment. But then she's also blaming Trump because he, quote unquote, doesn't know how to open schools safely. So wanting to open up this country is bad. Okay, but wanting to, continue to keep this country closed is also fucking bad, and Trump is worthy of being blamed for it. This makes absolutely no sense.
Turned our back, not just on agreements forged by my husband, but on alliances championed by presidents like Reagan and Eisenhower.
And look, here's what she's doing. She's trying to compare Barack Obama and plenty of other presidents to a higher standard than Donald Trump, just to try to antagonize him once again and antagonize half this country. So this makes no sense.
And here at home, as George Floyd...
Oh, God. Okay, so here's what she's gonna bring up black men dying by the police. Okay, here we go.
And a never-ending list of innocent people of color continue to be murdered. Stating the simple fact that a Black Life Matters is still met with derision from the nation's highest office.
So this is more hypocrisy. Okay, this literally is more hypocrisy, and it makes no sense. So of course, obviously, she's not going to bring up Cannon Hanant, the unarmed. Okay, clearly some 5-year-old just riding his bike, getting shot and killed by a black guy for no reason. She's not going to bring up that. She's only going to bring up George Floyd dying, and it just exposes. Okay, it's funny how she tries to bring up this whole Black Lives Matter narrative. We have literally, the media has been trying to shove this entire BLM narrative down our throat on a continuous basis, and she's literally trying to imply that if you criticize the BLM movement, the movement that is literally trying to shove their narrative down our throats, and there's so much hypocrisy within that movement, she's trying to antagonize anybody that chooses to criticize it, which again makes absolutely no fucking sense. And she's probably going to use the narrative that, saying Black Lives Matter shouldn't be controversial. You know what I'm saying? It's like, people don't think Black Lives Matter, when we already know that they're literally going to deliberately suppress anyone that, goes against the BLM narrative, or anyone who literally dies that goes against the BLM narrative, which makes absolutely no sense. We're just exposing that hypocrisy, but of course she's going to use this as rhetoric against Donald Trump and against half of this fucking country that doesn't support the radicalism of the movement and all the violence that is causing.
Because whenever we look to this White House for some leadership...
And here we go again. She's literally trying to pretend like she actually cares about looking up to this administration. We already know from day one, her husband, Barack Obama, was spying on Trump's campaign. There's no way that you're possibly even looking up to this administration in any way, shape, or form. You're just trying to antagonize it.
Or any semblance of steadiness, what we get instead is chaos, division, and a total and utter lack of empathy.
That's exactly what your party's doing, and that's exactly what you're doing, and that's exactly what all the protesters and rioters are doing in the name of your rhetoric that you're trying to spew. So this makes absolutely no sense. She's literally guilty of everything that she's saying. And she's also just speaking in hyperbole, just to emotionally manipulate her audience and actually try to get the people that are brainwashed by this Democrat Party propaganda to actually take her seriously.
Empathy.
Empathy, okay.
That's something I've been thinking a lot about lately. The ability to walk in someone else's shoes.
And once again, she's trying to emotionally manipulate her audience, which is the essence of not having any empathy, which makes no sense.
The recognition that someone else's experience has value too. Most of us...
But yet, here she is, trying to completely discard the experiences of half of this country that goes against her radical narrative that she's trying to spew.
Practice this without a second thought. If we see someone suffering or struggling, we
would want them to get back to work and reopen the country, which is exactly what Trump is trying to do. But somehow, for some weird reason, you're going against that.
And in judgment, we reach out because but for the
And this is more hypocrisy. Can somebody please name me one thing that Michelle Obama has done to quote unquote reach out to anybody? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. She's just virtue signaling and trying to divide the country.
God go I. It is not a hard concept to grasp. It's what we teach our children.
Teach our children, okay.
Unlike so many of you, Barack and I have tried our best to instill in our girls a strong moral foundation to carry forward the values that our parents and grandparents poured into us. But right now, kids in this country are seeing what happens when we stop requiring empathy of one another.
So this makes absolutely no sense. Okay, so here's Michelle Obama literally trying to go in and imply that just because her husband was president, that somehow all of the children that were literally, living under Barack Obama's presidency, they were all just feeling empathy and it was all attributed to their great leadership, but now it's all terrible because of Trump. She's literally trying to attribute empathy with only being synonymous with her administration, which is literal hypocrisy, and it makes absolutely no sense, and it just shows you that she's trying to continue to emotionally manipulate her audience.
They're looking around wondering if we've been lying to them this whole time about who we are and what.
Look at that. She's pretending like she is responsible for the entirety, of children in this country feeling empathy. This makes no sense.
Value.
No.
They see people shouting in grocery stores, unwilling to wear a mask to keep us all safe.
This makes no sense. Okay, so here she is. Once again, trying to, continue to repeat this Democrat narrative. I absolutely love how she is, bringing up empathy, empathy and, like, oh, you need to feel empathy, and not wearing a mask in, in a grocery store is an example of not feeling empathy, when she completely ignores all of the riots that are going on, all of the protests that are going on, that are literally advancing the radical leftist narrative. That's the essence of lacking empathy. Burning down the entire city for 50 days straight. That is the essence of lacking empathy. Rioting, looting fucking stores in the name of the rhetoric that she's continuing to promote. She's not going to bring up any of that as it pertains to a lack of empathy, but she's trying to attribute not wearing a mask, which, by the way, the FDA already proved that not wearing a mask, wearing a mask doesn't actually fucking work. Okay, so we already know that she's literally spewing more fucking Democrat narrative to try to continue to divide the country. And it's not even based on science, because she was talking about, oh, everything has to be about science. This isn't even based on science. This is just based on more political division and absolute hypocrisy. It doesn't even bring up any of the protests, any of the people that have died during these riots, and she wants to say that, the other side lacks empathy. This makes no sense.
They see people calling the police on folks minding their own business just because of the color of their skin.
What? Okay, so when was the last time that happened? She's going to completely discard all of the riots that are going on. She's going to discard Cannon Hanant, the white person, the 5-year-old white child who was literally killed for absolutely no reason. She's not going to bring up any of that. But she's going to bring up anecdotal bullshit, of people, quote unquote, calling the police against black. When was the last time that happened? Compared to all the, it's been more prevalent for riots and protests and looting to fucking happen that she continues to ignore. This makes no sense.
See an entitlement that says only certain people belong here.
What?
That greed is good and winning is everything, because as long as you come out on top, it doesn't matter what happens to everyone else.
That's exactly what you're trying to do with pushing for Joe Biden to win. Ignoring all of the protests and all the riots just so you can try to win against Donald Trump. Okay.
And they see what happens when that lack of empathy is ginned up into outright disdain. They see our leaders labeling fellow citizens enemies of the state.
They are enemies of the state. If you're committing crime and you're burning down the entire city and you're trying to destroy this country, you are by definition of a domestic terrorist. So here she is, trying to defend domestic terrorists, while simultaneously preaching empathy. This makes absolutely no sense.
While emboldening torch-bearing white supremacists.
When was the last time that happened? Literally, when was the last time that happened? She's literally bringing up an incident that happened 3 years ago of torch-bearing white supremacists, but she continues to ignore the protests. This makes the fucking riots. This makes no sense.
They watch in horror as children torn from their families and thrown into cages, and pepper spray and rubber bullets are used on peaceful protesters.
Oh God, here we go. Okay, she brings up peaceful protesters. So again, as I've been saying for the past 2 minutes, she is literally going to call all of these rioters peaceful protesters, pepper spraying peaceful protesters, when they were literally trying to go into the White House. And we already know that these people will not be peaceful if they had an opportunity to get anywhere near Donald Trump. So we already know she's literally trying to say peaceful, pepper spray peaceful protesters. Makes absolutely no fucking sense. And then she's literally just, as I said, using this to continue to divide the fucking country.
Sadly, this is the America that is on.
And also, I forgot to mention this part. We already know putting kids in cages. She literally said putting kids in cages. That started under Obama. Okay, it was already confirmed the exact immigration system as it pertains to detaining illegal immigrants. They literally started under Obama in 2014. The pictures that have been leaked happened in 2014 under her administration, but she wants to only attribute it to Trump, which makes no sense.